Hello everyone, I'm Captain Logan. How are folks doing this fine Tuesday evening? Unusual time these days for me to stream. I thought I would do a silly experiment. Folks have been requesting for a little while now here and there that I try out one of these tier ranking things. It's all the rage right now. It's like reaction videos. And I was like, sure, that sounds like fun. I rank things quite often anyway, but it's always been in the top 5, top 10, top whatever sort of format where I actually have to decide an order. And I've looked at a few of these videos, and it seems like a sort of refreshing way to do this, really, although some of it seems kind of, arbitrary too. Like, you're basically just giving things a letter grade like you're in school, almost like a review, even if you haven't looked at it in a while, which is a bit of an odd exercise to me, but it's probably not any more or less arbitrary or random than trying to put things in an order, especially when you have a whole bunch of items, and it's like these, especially when you get to something you really love and you get to like a top 10 or a top 5, and you're like, these could go in any order. You hear people say that in ranking videos all the time. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to give this thing a shot. And why not pick something that everyone watching this practically will find really obscure? And I don't know if anybody is going to care about this, but I was looking at things. I thought about, I put feelers out to see what kinds of things people wanted me to talk about. I will pick some of those things in a later video if people are interested in these. This is a real fun, quick, easy kind of thing to do, and looks like fun, so we're going to try it. And this could even be, especially for like smaller lists, things that there's only like 8, 10 in a category for. It may not be a bad idea to do this as like a lead-in topic occasionally for the Captain Logan show, or maybe this will remain its own thing, just something I'll do every so often when I feel like making a video, but I don't have time to plan anything. And that's what this is, by the way. Let me real quick backtrack, and this will, of course, date this video for the future. But for people wondering why I'm popping in on a Tuesday and why I'm making a video when I said I was not going to be doing as much regular content this week. In case you missed the community post from earlier today, my father is in the hospital, and this is the third time in almost as many months that Dad's been in the hospital, and he's dealing with an infection that started in his foot that has now unfortunately worked its way into his spine, and he's been taking antibiotics for that for several weeks, but now it's gotten really bad again. He's super sick, and I needed to kind of clear my schedule this week because I didn't know how much I was going to need to visit Dad in the hospital. So I will still try to pop in and make a couple videos here and there, and we will likely still do the Captain Logan show, but I'm going to on Thursday, but I'm going to play everything by ear. So I'm going to kind of tentatively plan for shows, and then if I can't make them, of course, I'll let you guys know. But I wanted to clear my schedule so that I didn't have to spend a lot of time planning for things that I didn't know if I would be able to make it for or have enough time to plan for it. Like, we were supposed to do a double feature, Superhero Rewind, and on Friday, and that's enough watching and research that I was like, let's stave that off for a week and give me time, like an extra week to plan for it. I actually have done most of my planning for the first of those. Like, I'm actually ahead on that right now, but I know I'm already, like I said, going to see Dad tomorrow. I'll be there most of the afternoon, and losing a whole afternoon, it's going to be hard for me to do Request and that show, so I'm just going to stave all of that off till next week. So I'm going to give you guys some kind of fun filler stuff. In the interim, hope nobody minds. Welcome if you're watching live. Good to see you guys. Senior Stick says the Tick obscure never. Well, the Tick himself, for some of us, not super obscure. Some of the stuff on this list I found is absolutely crazy obscure, and it's going to be a lot of fun to try to rank it, and totally pointless and random. Very frivolous. I'm looking forward to that. I love doing frivolous videos. So some people would say everything I do is frivolous. Anyway, so I did not make this list, but I did make up the names for the rankings because I actually did this at the last minute. At first, it was just A, B, C, and D, and I added the E or F tier, however you want to look at it, because I thought maybe it needed an extra one, and then I decided, well, let's name them after Tick lines and catchphrases, shall we? So this is all from the cartoon show, and at first I thought it was episodes, and now I think, because it's always just pictures, right, with the tier maker lists, the tiermaker.com we're looking at, and at first I thought it was maybe pictures that were representing episodes, until I realized that there were sometimes more than one that represented different episodes, and that they're all characters. So I think we're just supposed to rank these characters, some of them very, very random, and some of them kind of the obvious mainstream things you would expect to rank on a cartoon Tick list. So if you're familiar with the Tick, with the animated series from the 3 seasons from the 90s, you'll take a look at this and go, wow, there's some really weird, obscure things on this list. And if you're not, you'll go, I don't have any idea what I'm looking at, and it will look even more obscure to you. So I will explain all of these things. There will be maybe a few that I don't actually know the names of because they're that obscure, but most of these things I can pinpoint exact episodes and tell you who the characters are. And so from best ranking to least, I have named the Spoon. That's the S tier, which is tier makers, top, even above grade A, best thing possible. Typically rating, and then under that, the A ranking would be Keen, and then B is Neat, C is Cool, D is That's Dirty Pool, and at the very bottom, say F is Gravity is a Harsh Mistress. So let's go ahead and start getting into this, shall we? I'll jump back and forth and look at comments as much as I can. I have a surprising number of folks in this particular stream right now. Welcome, guys. Thanks for being here. And I'm clicking. Sorry, I'm being an idiot and clicking over to my studio so that you guys can see all of my backdoor everything. Anyway, so let's go ahead and start on this crazy thing. And we'll just start at the very top. I might skip around a little bit. But anyway, so again, this is all just from the original Tick cartoon. There are now a whopping 3 TV shows, shockingly. The last 2, unfortunately, got canceled before their prime, or at least, I can't say prime, which is funny to say for the Amazon show, because that was on Amazon Prime, but both canceled super prematurely, I should say. The first season of the Amazon Tick is one of the best cartoon shows, or the best TV shows ever made, in my opinion. I'm a little bit biased, though. But we're going to talk about the cartoon today. So, ranking, this is such a silly exercise. Let's do it. Here we go. Look, everybody, it's Arthur. Arthur is going to be a Spoon character. You can't have the Tick without Arthur. Especially in the cartoon show, he has all the best ideas. The Tick is not as dumb as he is in the Patrick Warburton show, of course, but Arthur tends to come up with the important plans. He's kind of the straight man. And regardless of who is voicing him, be it I forget his name, but one of the monkeys voiced Arthur in the first season, and then he left. I've never heard the story behind that. I'm not actually sure why. And then Rob Paulson took over after that. Regardless of which of those is Arthur, he kind of grounds the show, but also brings his own degree of madness sometimes, or of near madness, as he is navigating the bizarre waters of the Tick universe, being a relatively normal person who still wants to be a superhero. American Made, you got to put in the Spoon category. She is also very much a straight man, but is more kind of rooted into that whole world, and plays everything very, very straight, and doesn't have almost any comedic bone in her body. Throws shoes at things. One of these characters that is very funny in her own right, mostly conceptually, but is completely no nonsense. And then right after that, it already starts to get kind of weird. We have not Betty, Queen of the Ants, but the ants themselves from Ants in Pants, wearing a trench coat, where they all form a collective consciousness and are, I don't I can't even believe that we're ranking this as a character. And it's going to be difficult with things like this, not to just think of the quality of the episode, I think, and how funny and comedic and sophisticated I think the actual comedy is. But Ants and Pants is an episode I put in kind of a mid-range to maybe a little bit higher sort of place, and that is a character. It's got a really funny, high-pitched kind of voice. I just think it's really funny that we're ranking this and not Betty, so I don't know. I guess I'll put that at cool. I don't want to say dirty pool. I feel like once we get to the bottom two, it's got to be like negative things I really don't care for. I will probably put Baron pardon me, I can't even say it. Von Violent, I think that's his name, in That's Dirty Pool. That's from The Tick versus Arthur, and he has a belt that makes him... he's almost like a Bane parody, where he's got this belt that you turn up different numbers, and it gives you different degrees of musculature, and he's kind of just a plot device in order to get Arthur a way to be a supervillain for the episode. And you might take a look at that tiny picture, because there's no way to blow these up, and it's kind of weird that on the tier maker list there's not any way to click on a picture and see what the name of it is, so it always feels like there's kind of like a trivia component to this as well, especially for more obscure things. And of course, I could just make these lists myself and then rank them, but I found this and I thought it would be fun to see if I knew who all these people were. So kind of a little bit of trivia with it too. But you might take a look if you've seen any of that show, and just look at that little thumbnail and think that you're looking at what's his name? The Punisher parody from the pilot, and then he comes back in a few different episodes: Tick versus the Tick, Tick versus Dot's Wedding. His Big Shot, but that is not in fact Big Shot, even though he also has a big skull and looks like kind of a Punisher parody. And then we have the other Tick, who is Barry. In the comics, he's called Barry Hubris. Hilarious, wonderful last name. And I'm going to put Barry in somewhere between the Keen and the Spoon ranking. He is certainly one of my favorite villains. I love him a lot. I think he is going to go in Spoon, probably. I need to put my comments in a different place here. Yes, Deflator Mouse is in there. Senior Sticks. Robert, strap in, folks. This could be a long stream. I could. I'll see if I can start rolling a little bit quicker here. I haven't tried one of these yet, and I'm like, how much do I want to talk about any of these things? Robert, I can name maybe 3 of those characters. Dimwit Monkey, I've known about the Tick for so long but never watched any of it. This will be my real introduction to this. Well, strap in, because it's gonna get random and really weird. Robert, me seeing this list with only a vague knowledge of the main heroes and Chairface. Who are you people? Yeah. Well, like I said in my thumbnail, it is self-indulgent. I just could not help myself. Okay, I'm gonna roll along here. We got the B Twins. Let's put the B Twins in. I guess neat. They're kind of fun. They're just henchmen that work for Alcide, and they speak together like they have a combined consciousness. Not like especially like comedic in their dialogue and stuff. They're just, again, kind of funny conceptually. Then we have Ben Franklin. What is Ben Franklin doing here? Okay, so I like why? He doesn't do all that much in that episode, and I'm not a big fan of that. That's Leonardo da Vinci and his Time Fighting Commandos, I think is the full name of that episode. And he's fine. Is he in cool, or is he in the villain for that episode is not going to go that high. But I almost want to put him even a little bit lower just because I don't love that episode. Here is, in fact, a lot of historical figures that come in through time travel. Although, I will say, if George Washington Carver is in here from that episode, he'll go a little higher. Because that was... And Leonardo da Vinci is fine as well. Even though it's kind of weird that he's voiced by the same guy who does Barry Hubris and a bunch of other characters in that show. And Fox Kids in general. Big Shot has got to go in keen, I think, and I love what we do with his rehabilitation and his obsession with shooting guns and then trying to channel that into photography. It's hilarious. Bipolar Bear also goes in the keen spot, and he is a gag before he's a character. He shows up a couple of times, but he's really just a one-note joke, and the joke is so good I have to put it in keen, that's from the pilot. This looks like a job for Bipolar Bear, but I just can't get out of bed this month. And then we have, I'm going to put this in the keen spot as well. I wonder what happens when we fill up a row. Like, will we be able to scroll the row, or will it not allow me to continue to put them there? We'll see what happens. Blowhole! I guess I'll put Blowhole in neat. He is from Little Wooden Boy and the Belly of Love, and he's another just hilarious concept where he is. I feel like I have to explain all these things to you guys because a lot of you probably haven't watched any of this, but he is a giant whale that runs on two legs, and Carmelita, who also wears a moth suit like Arthur, her inventor father is trapped inside of him, and Tick and Arthur are in him and have to figure out a way out, like Jonah. And anyway, just the obsession that the city has around Blowhole is great. I have never been a big Mole Man fan, and they just don't do anything for me. So I think I have to put. I don't know if that's the Mole King or one of his mole helper guys, but I'm gonna put that in that sturdy pool. I'm just not a big fan of that whole thing. And then, boy, I don't even know what this is supposed to be. I mean, that's the forehead next to this larger henchman guy, but I can't really tell who that's supposed to be. It's not Zipperneck, and I know Zipperneck's actually in here somewhere, so I guess I'm gonna put that down here because I don't know who it is. But if it's there just for no, because here's the forehead. Here's the forehead. I would put him in. I don't know. Like, it's not Dirty Pool. He's got a couple of amusing gags here and there. He's kind of their stand-in for just like your typical mob boss in a Batman or a Spider-Man show. He is a lot like, who is that? No, it's not Tombstone. Who am I thinking of? There's a Spider-Man mob boss from the 90s show and from comics that he kind of reminds me of. Doorman, I think, is in there, Senior Six. See, Senior Six knows this tag. Robert Wild, is The Tick currently streaming anywhere? Yes, it's on Hulu, but you can also, there are several people on YouTube that have it, and it has not been dropped for copyright, luckily, and somebody has upscaled it to 4K, and believe it or not, it actually looks really great. Somebody's done the same thing with the Patrick Warburton show, and both of them, you can really tell a difference. They look like this, nearly the studios did them. So I would recommend doing it that way. Just going to YouTube and typing in Tick Cartoon 4K, and you'll find it. Breadmaster goes in Spoon, one of my absolute favorite villains. Probably only second or third to Thrakkerzog. Here's Thrakkerzog. I am gonna skip around a little bit. We'll take my buddy Thrakkerzog here, and we'll throw him all the way up to the top. He has some of the best villain speeches in the show. He was actually a really big comic book villain who is pink in the comics, but green in the show. I like his green look a little better, I think, and he speaks to the mundanity of that show, where he wants to rule the world, but he is very committed to politeness, and he is from Dimension 14B and just happens to live in Apartment 14B. He's got a talking tongue, everything about he's got a British accent for no reason. This is my side of the living room, and that is your side of the living room, and must you drink straight out of the milk carton? It's disgusting. It's wonderful. Here is another kind of just one-note gag that's very funny, but Breadmaster's henchman, Buttery Pat, and we'll put him in neat. Not quite as great as the Breadmaster, of course. And then I don't know why this guy is in here. This is Captain Fleming or something. I've never fully understood the line when he says his name, but he's like in the pilot flying over the city, and he falls real quick. The other character that flies and falls that is not the human bullet. Then we have Captain Mucilage, one of the civic-minded five, and we'll throw him in cool. He's not quite as funny as the Carpeted Man. Here's Carmelita. We'll throw her in neat. She's fine. I like that voice actress quite a bit. She and Arthur, for cartoon characters, have good enough chemistry. I like how just kind of, bemused she is by Arthur's situation and the Tick, and she, has a big heart. She's that kind of character, and there was kind of some fun mystery for a second about her, where her suit came from. That's a character that I would love to see adapted in live action. Won't happen now, but and maybe never could have, because it's hard to tell what the rights issues are with the Fox show, which is the reason that that American Made into Fledermaus were turned into different characters in the Patrick Warburton show, and you still don't see any Fox characters even in the Amazon show. Here is indeed the Carpeted Man. I'll throw him in neat. He has, just with his suit, abilities related to static electricity. Chairface Chippendale naturally is going to go in the Spoon slot, and he gets a number of episodes. Maybe he's in fewer than you might think if you haven't watched that show. As an arch nemesis, he doesn't get as much to do as, say, a Joker or Kingpin. He's a little bit more like Venom in the Spider-Man show, where you think of him as a huge villain. He's in the intro, but like Venom, but he only gets a few episodes, but they're all great, and even episodes that don't only feature him, he's hilarious and wonderful, and his best lines are in not the Tick versus Chairface Chippendale, but the Tick versus Science, where he has wonderful lines like, that's a mind-switching episode, wonderful lines like, no, you face a zebra, I face the Tick. Brainchild is a villain that my wife and I have always been. Sarah's also a huge fan of the show, and we've always been a little bit divisive on. I think he's fine. My wife really, really dislikes him, but I think the idea of a kid that is completely rebellious in the 90s with terrible parents, and that's the reason he wants to rule the world. He just doesn't have any discipline, and he's brilliant, and he does super extreme things to himself, like a lot of kids would be wanting to get tattoos and piercings, but Brainchild is making his head see-through so you can see his brain, because he's that much of a narcissist. His first episode is better than his second, but that episode has that second episode has some really fun things apart from Charles, and Chairface is actually in that one as well. This is gonna be Clark Oppenheimer, I think, and for the cartoon show, I have to only put him in cool. If this was the comics, he'd go higher, because he gets more to do there, and he's a lot of fun, but the joke there, he's just in the first episode, he doesn't really get anything to do. The joke is just, he is Superman, but he's never able to put his costume on, because somebody is always in the phone booth or the bathroom. And then we get... Oh, I think I actually know who this is. I thought I was going to get stumped for a second. I believe this is the guy, and I'm not giving a description. This is his name. I believe this is the guy with eyes like little raisins. He is a Chairface henchman, and I mean it's a one-time Dick Tracy gag. There's kind of nothing there. He's right in there. Why is he in here? He's right in there with guys like Zipperneck, and there's a whole list of them at the Chairface party. Then we get Crusading Chameleon, who begins as the Caped Chameleon and gets a name change for no reason I've ever understood, but I think it changed quick enough for it to be Crusading Chameleon on the action figure. I'd have to go over to my collection and look, but I think that's right. I'll just put him in cool. Well, no, I'll go a little bit higher. Now that I'm thinking about it, we do some fun gags with him here and there. He actually shows up just real briefly in a few episodes, but the deal with him is he can do solid colors, but he can't do anything complicated. So if he tries he can, his power is he can blend in with things with different colors like a chameleon, and he'll try to do bricks or he'll try to do plaid, and he can't handle it. So, I don't know, I've knocked out maybe 20 of these so far. Robert Wild, everybody wants to rule the world. They sure do. There is a hilarious rendition of that song in the final episode of the original Powerpuff Girls, the 10th anniversary special. Just go check that out with Mojo Jojo. It's absolutely wonderful. This is one of the hench chicks from Project Shave. That mustache feeling. It's all coming back to me. I don't know why she's down here. I don't actually remember her name. There are two of them. They have names. That's one of those episodes I don't go back to very often. So I'll be rustier on that and Crime Fighting Commandos. And if there's anything in here from that other time travel episode, the Tick versus Prehistory from season 3. I won't know the villain's name from that. Then this is another Chairface henchman. I guess they're all going to be in here. What is his name? He's got a nose that he can light cigarettes off of. And I guess I'll just throw him down here too. I don't have any Gravity as a harsh mistress yet. Just nobody I absolutely can't stand. I don't know if anything will be down there. Maybe we'll find by the end. We'll just have to axe that whole category. But I've only put 2 in Keen's so far. Anyway, here's Dean. Dean is just a hilarious. What am I trying to say? I'm trying to decide where I want to put him. Give me a second. Let's put him. A lot of things are going in cool right now, but yeah, I'll just put him in cool. He's an amusing design. He's got a screw for a head, and the Tick starts unscrewing it in the Chairface episode, which is really funny. And he doesn't speak, and he's the only Chairface henchman who doesn't have a descriptive name. His name is just Dean, and that's funny all by itself. Deflator Mouse, you got to put all the way up in Spoon. That is a joke that never gets old. The superhero who refuses to actually do any superheroing, who is a complete. And, of course, we do the same thing with Batman Well in the first live-action series. But he is a total coward, and he's obsessed with fashion, and it never gets old. It's always funny. The womanizing thing with him in American Made, where she's always, they're throwing stuff at him and throwing lines back at him, is always great. Wow, there's a lot here. This is going to take longer than I thought it would. Let's see. How long have I been rambling on here? 28 minutes! Good Lord, where does the time go? Okay. Well, let's... this is going to be a half-hour video. I got 2 minutes to rank the rest of this. So that's not going to happen. Let's knock these out. This is... and it takes a minute sometimes just to describe these things. I don't know the name of this guy. He starts in... He's in the comics, and... He's in the exact same scene that he's in, almost verbatim, actually. 65 cents for a candy bar? What are you, nuts? He's a dog henchman. I'll put him in neat. I think he's hilarious. He's only in the one scene, the one episode, couple scenes. But he's in the Sidekick Lounge in The Tick versus the Tick, and the very same scene in situation to introduce Barry Hubris is in the comics as well. It's been too long. I can't tell you the exact issue number these days. It's in those, of course, Ben Edlund issues. Is it like 4 or 5? Maybe 6? Here is Mr. Mental. And Mr. Mental is just a cool villain. I can't put him as high as neat. He's fine. His second appearance is abysmal, though. If we were just ranking episodes, he'd go in Gravity's Harsh Mistress, absolutely. But he has mentalism powers, and there's a lot of fun things that's done with the Tick in his episode, and I like his voice a lot, but he's not one of my favorites. This is, wait a minute. Is that Leonardo da Vinci? I never realized how close the character models were. I don't actually know right now if I'm looking at Leonardo da Vinci or if I'm looking at Carmelita's father, and I don't actually know his name right off. Vatos. That's his last name, Professor Vatos. I forget his first name now, but I actually think that is Leonardo da Vinci. I think I said we'd probably throw him in cool. I'll put him in cool. Regardless, either of those characters I would put in cool, so it's fine. Man, I was waiting for this, and I didn't look through all these before we started, but I figured as obscure as this was getting, this character would have to be here, and if he wasn't, I was going to throw a fit. Not because I like this character, but because I had to deal with some of these even more weird, obscure characters. This is Dynamole, and I have complained about Dynamole before, for anybody that's ever listened to my Tick videos. Dynamole is going to go in Gravity as a harsh mistress, and I'll tell you why. It's not his fault. It's not Dynamole's fault. Dynamole is in the background of, also, we're dealing a lot with this episode, with the Tick versus Chairface Chippendale, so the second episode of the series. And he was in tons of merchandising. In the first wave, we got Dynamole on everything, like he was going to be a major character or something. I own almost everything that came out in the 90s for this show. I've been collecting a long time, and I bought out somebody's big collection at one point to start all of that. I have a vinyl bag that has 3 characters on it. It has the Tick, Arthur, and freaking Dynamole. He has his own action figure. He had regular sized one. He has a littler figure, I think, but I know for sure he's got one of the wacky wind-ups. He's one of the few characters that got one of those. And because we only got a couple of waves for that line, we never even got a Chairface figure. But we got a Dean, and we got a Dynamole. So yeah, he goes in Gravity is a harsh mistress for being an action figure over Chairface Chippendale. It took me forever to even find him in the show. Now this one is really obscure, and I don't know if this guy even got a name. I'll put him in, I don't know, cool. That's Dirty Pool. I mean, he's kind of a nothing guy. He's just an old man who's sort of wearing a thing outfit. I don't even know if he's supposed to be a rock guy. I don't have an opinion about this guy, so I guess that's why I'm throwing him where I'm throwing him. But there's this kind of joke in the pilot where we have. So that's the Tick versus the Idea Men. I keep saying the pilot, but actually I don't think they made that show first. I've always suspected that the Chairface episode was made first, but we aired Idea Men first, and it is an origin episode, so it makes sense. But it watches some of the kinks in the animation are coming out already, and even some of the voices are figured out a little bit better by Chairface, so it's hard to imagine that it wasn't recorded first. But there's not a lot of information on this show. There's not special features and things. So anyway, when superheroes are being chosen for which city they're going to go protect, and the Tick gets the city, there's a group of judges that are parodies of the Fantastic Four, and that's their Ben Grimm parody. That's who that is. LC is a beloved villain for a lot of people. I'm going to just put him in neat. I've never been the biggest LC fan. I love his voice. He is really funny. It's just a taste thing. I don't love him as much as some other villains, certainly. And I like the Tick versus Alcide more than his second episode, Bloomsday, but his best line is in that episode where he's playing pool with the woman that looks after the 400-year-old Bloom, and he says, "It is not cheating. I go again," and I never get tired of that. Feral Boy, I guess I'll put him in cool. I mean, it's another character that's kind of a good gag, I guess. He's part of the Civic-Minded Five, and he's kind of the obligatory, almost pet mascot sort of character, or the less than human character, or not very human character that's on your superhero team. The Finn is another character that is divisive in my household because my son loves him. is his favorite character. The Tick versus Reno, Nevada is Jason's favorite episode. I don't know why that is. And my wife really doesn't like that episode or that character, and I've always been kind of in the middle about it. He's voiced, I want to say, by, is it LaMarche, the guy who voices the Brain in Pinky and the Brain? I think that if it's not him, it sounds a lot like him, but I think that's who it is. Maybe it's not. I would have to look it up. Anyway, he's just this super sarcastic porpoise who wants to escape captivity and have all the fish that he desires and rule the world, and he makes a fish magnet, and it's wonderfully absurd. One of the most absurd things in that show, but I'm going to put him also just in cool, I think. I'm going to look back at comments again here for a second. 36 minutes we're at now. Robert, this is not going to be a 24-hour stream. Spetty Viskew, my all-time favorite Tick joke is a group of terrorists having the motivation of wanting a lot of money so they wouldn't have to go to work anymore. Yes, that is from The Idea Men. That's for the first episode. Robert says, I know there's a fan-made restoration of the 90s Flash show on YouTube. I haven't looked at that yet. I didn't realize that. And compare it to the DVDs, which I have. Robert, wow, now all the Dynamo fans are going to come after you. No, I think I'm safe. I think I'm safe from the Dynamo fans. Should be all right. Okay, we got Fishboy, Lost Prince of Atlantis. I think he probably also just goes in cool. He appears in a couple of different places, and he's just another one of these kind of mundane superhero jokes where he gets to be a superhero, but he's a kid. He's kind of that kid sidekick, except he doesn't have his own superhero, although he does make a brief appearance, and they're able to use him because he started in the comics, but he does make a brief appearance in the Patrick Warburton show, actually as a sidekick, in the episode with Fiery Blaze. And anyway, the whole joke with that is just his mother won't let him go out unless he's in a kiddie pool because he has to stay wet all the time. And then we've got, okay, it's not Squirrel Girl. I always do this. It's the living squirrel, the human squirrel. I forget, but it's in the final episode of the series, the Tick versus Education. The Tick is teaching a bunch of wannabe superheroes how to be superheroes, and it's actually a pretty fun episode, but she's one of them. Does she go in cool? Does she go in? Oh, that's what it does. Okay, cool. Yeah, she's fine. I'll just put her there. Like I said, I'm going to roll a little bit quicker here. Okay, this I did look at earlier, and I had to stare at pretty hard to figure out what I was even looking at. This is an unfortunate screenshot because I don't actually know who the character is we're supposed to be looking at, but I'm going to go with Octo Paganini. Regardless, this is going to go in the neat section. Both of these are really funny villains, so I'll put them both there. But what we're looking at, it's tiny, it's hard to tell. What we're looking at is the villains from the Tick versus Europe. So you have Octo Paganini, and he's standing in front of a henchman that he hires that is a living vending machine with a human brain in a vending machine called the Eastern Bloc Robot Cowboy. And standing behind them are their two giant henchmen from Belgium. And so, like, most of these have been, weird, obscure characters standing all by themselves, but you got four of them. Like, those henchmen could have been a square, as obscure as this has gotten. So, so somebody got weird with this. But anyway, so whether it's Octo Paganini or it's Eastern Bloc Robot Cowboy, I would put that in neat. And then we get the leader of the Civic-Minded Five, who is the Four-Legged Man. He'll also just go in cool. Then we have, and I couldn't tell you which one, but we have one of the Swiss, and they carry giant Swiss Army knives, and they're after Arthur's costume in, I had it earlier. I'm talking about all these different episodes, but the episode that introduces Carmelita, is it Little Wooden Boy? It must be a little Wooden Boy. You can't fight evil with a macaroni duck. I'll be the judge of that. Anyway, I think they all have rhyming names like Hans and Franz, and then there's another one that maybe is not rhyming. Regardless, it's one of those guys. They're funny. I mean, that's just cool also. What we're finding is that most of these random characters are just cool. Okay, I can't even believe that this is a square, because this isn't even a real character. So what we're looking at is a snake that is in a dream sequence where the tick is imagining that Speak can fly and talk again. His giant rat that he thinks is a dog because he had a hallucination. Or is this in that first hallucination? I don't know, it's been a while. I actually can't even remember. But regardless, this character does not exist. This is a character from a dream sequence, and I have to rate it. I guess I'll put it down here. I don't have a problem with it, but his line is, "You don't date much, do you?" And it was always odd, and I never totally knew what we were getting at with that. So yeah, that'll just go in dirty pool, I guess. Oh wait, no, maybe this is Little Reasons guy. This is another random henchman from Chairface. What are we doing here? I'm gonna put him all the way at the bottom because I'm annoyed that I'm still having to count those. He's getting the short end of the stick on that. And then, is this the woman? Wow, I'm having to really rack my brain with some of this. Okay, so I think this is from the Evil Eye Cafe, which we first visit No, I think the first time we visit it is in The Tick versus Mr. Mental. And I think it's maybe the woman that's singing on stage who's like, "Get out of my mind." But I'm actually not totally sure if that's who it is. I'll go to That's Dirty Pool for in unmemorableness, and even if it is that character, like I don't know, she just kind of sings, so it doesn't need to be any higher than that. Is this? No, this is not Zipperneck. This is Headless Henderson, I think, another of Chairface's henchmen. See, now it's becoming just a trivia thing. I'm like, do I put it in cool just because I remembered his name? I don't know. He's headless and he can put drinks in himself with his head off. That's kind of fun. Okay, this is crazy. This is a member of the Hay Empire. You have the Hays and the What's in The Tick versus... oh wow, I'm blanking all of a sudden. It's the space episode. It's my wife's absolute favorite episode of the series. It will Big Nothing. The Tick versus the Big Nothing. And looking at the screenshot, what I'm actually not sure of is if this is in fact so the Hays and the What's and the Hay Empire, they all look exactly like Arthur. And there's a scene where we see that a What is a spy that has infiltrated the Hay Empire, and this looks suspiciously like that shot. So I actually don't know if I'm looking at one of the Hays or the What that pretends to be a Hay. This is quite a conversation you're listening to if you've not actually seen the show. But regardless, they're both funny, and that goes all the way up to neat. And then we have another of the Swiss. Okay. I feel like there are major characters that are not showing up down here with some of the really obscure things that we've got. I'm going to go to a couple of the bigger things here. Like, here's the Terror. He goes in Spoon. He's one of the few villains that has as good or better of a second appearance as he does the first. He starts in The Tick versus Arthur's Bank Account, one of the few episodes in first season that has a villain whose name is not in the title, but it's still The Tick versus. We get away from that formula in the episode titles later, but we'll still occasionally go back to it. Although what irritates me about it is it starts with the article adjective. It's always The Tick versus, and then when we do bring that back in seasons 2 and 3, it's always just Tick versus. That's grating to me. But anyway, so you have The Tick versus Arthur's Bank Account, which is the first Terror episode. I think it's the last episode of the season, and that's first season. And then in second season, you get the episode with the flashbacks with the old-timer superheroes, and that will come to me here. I've almost got it. I can't. Grandpa Wore Tights. Grandpa Wore Tights. That's what it's called. Anyway, the Terror has a lot of the best lines in the series. And actually, he's even really funny in that other, what is it, Coach Fussel's Lament, that other Brainchild episode. I knew a socket had once. But yes, he's one of the greatest Tick villains, and he's good in every incarnation. He's one of the only villains that's in every version. The best version, of course, now though, is Jackie Earl Haley in the first season of the Amazon show. Okay, you thought I was just going to rank things. You're actually just getting a dissertation on the Tick series and on the cartoon series. And believe it or not, we still have 3 rows of this stuff. Hey, look, it's the Tick himself. I kind of didn't think he was even going to be in here, but of course, he goes in the A tier. He goes in Spoon. Here is another of the Mole Men. I don't like them. I almost want to put them in Gravity's Harsh Mistress just because of the audacity of there being 2 of them in here. Hey, look, it's Multiple Santa, the guy who makes energy-based multiples of himself and pretends like they're all Santa Claus. Or is this actually Santa Claus? No, this is not. Oh, sorry, they're both here. Okay, Multiple Santa is a hilarious villain, and I love him. And he's going to go in Keen. And then... Oh, yeah, let me not jump around quite yet. And then Santa Claus himself, I'll put in Neat. Have a pencil set. And then Omnipotus is in my top 5 Tick villains. He goes to the top. He's a wonderful Galactus parody where we make fun of like perspective drawing, where his feet are freaky small and he gets smaller as he goes down. But he wants to tick for his roommate while he is also trying to destroy the Earth. And everything, that episode is perfection. It's called Alone Together. It's one of my absolute favorites. Check it out. And then we get the Human Ton and his little friend Handy. I should have jumped around more because now that I'm getting into characters I love, this is more fun. So the Human Ton is going to go in. He's got to go all the way to Spoon, right? Because you got Handy with Read a Book. I never get tired of that. I named a show after it. I love that gag so much. Yeah, Achilles, read a book. And then we have the Human Ton, who is also a really fun gag. Fire Me Boy. He's got a cannon in his backyard, and that's how he shoots himself to crimes around the city. Proto Clown is weird to rank because I love that episode, but like the clown joke itself, at least the clown was never like the funniest thing, but I think I'm going to put that in Neat just because, pardon me, I'm kicking my desk, just because I love that initial joke of and we don't do a lot of these kind of pop culture references, but it was wonderfully kind of couched, kind of clouded, where they keep referring to the clown as it, referring to Stephen King's It, and then when you finally see him, it's a clown. But the best stuff in that episode is the Tick's self-discovery while he is searching through the recesses of his own mind, and from there we get his defense mechanisms, which I'll throw in Neat, just because the absurdity of the Tick asks the wrong question and then is being chased by little versions of himself with that hit him with fish. That never gets old. That's great. Here's the babysitter from Coach Fussel's Lament. She gets her mind controlled and she's in a robot body for 5 minutes. Who cares? We have the indigestible man. Well, everybody is in here, it seems like. I said maybe we were ignoring some things. No, maybe everybody's here. Here is the indigestible man, and that is from the Tick versus Dot and Neil's wedding, where he has a really bizarre, doesn't come up very often kind of power where he literally cannot be digested, and he goes in Dinosaur Neil's body. I'll just throw him in cool, I guess. Dinosaur Neil is going to go to Neat. And that's another character where he's got 2 great episodes, and he's one of those kind of tragic villains in a hilarious way, where like it's not his fault that he becomes a giant monster. He accidentally eats the DNA from a petri dish that turns him into a dinosaur right after he says, "I saw it in a movie once." And then we have one of my favorite gags, and I think this is also in the comics. We have fake Joseph Stalin, Stalingrad, and I'm going to put him all the way to Keen. I never get tired of that joke. It's so good. And you have the picture of actual Stalin with the terror in the 1940s that says thumbs up for evil. It's wonderful. I don't know what this is. This just looks like a jacket. Is this a character? I can't tell what this is. Okay, this looks like it must also be Headless Henderson, because it looks like it's somebody's body that's missing a head, but we already got him, I think. Okay, well, let's go to the bottom, because I can't tell what it is. We'll look at comments again and see how long I've been at this. 52 minutes. Darren Root, thought Cap was referring to the human tongue from the swapping episode. No, I was not, but I know the Dr. Mung Mung, who creates him, is in this list. I don't know if Tung Tung is. Senior Sticks, so this is part 1. No, we're going to finish this. We absolutely are. Thanks for hanging out with me, guys. Hope you're enjoying this kind of walk for me down memory lane with the Tick. I'm enjoying this mostly because of the way it's kind of kickstarting my memory with some of this stuff. Oh, here's the villain from the time travel episode that I don't really like. Leonardo da Vinci and his crime fighting commandos. I'll put him at Dirty Pool. And then from the Tick versus the Uncommon Cold with Thrakkerzog, we've got Mucus Tick, who is just a clone of the Tick. He's not really a character. He doesn't talk or anything, but it's there's some really great animation with that, and it's one of those things that on paper is absolutely disgusting, and I should hate it. And it's one of my favorite episodes, and I love everything we do with it. Even the Tick, like sniffing the snot back into himself, is funny and works. And I should be disgusted by that, but I'm not. I've always loved it. So he goes in Neat. He did get an action figure along with Thrakkerzog. Thank goodness. I have both of those. Here's another of the ladies from Project Shave. Okay. Did I put them both down here, or I don't know where I put the other shave lady. So this is going to be inconsistent probably. No, she's in here too. Yeah, a lot of that, and I don't mean to dwindle it all down to just the joke of the episode, because there's a lot of like individual lines and ideas in some of these shows where the initial conceit doesn't grab me that really work. But I've never been a big fan of that mustache feeling, and we try to do a parody of Nick Fury with that is not as inspired as I think they think it is. This is Toon La, Not of This Earth, also from the Tick versus the Uncommon Cold. She is from the comics too, and works with the Terror, and I'll just throw her in cool. Most characters, that's where they're going. This also looks like fake Joseph Stalin. Maybe this is actual Joseph Stalin. Am I really going to have to rank Stalingrad and Joseph Stalin. This is amazing. I can't believe I'm making a video where this is happening. Because if I'm right and that is Stalin, that is from Grandpa Wore Tights and is in a flashback. And you notice that it's in kind of a sepia tone. I think I'm right about that. Am I really going to have to write Joseph? I don't feel like I should put Joseph Stalin as neat. Okay, look. I'm going to do this, okay? I'm going to cheat on this. We're talking about a real-life terrible figure, so we're going to put Joseph Stalin in Gravity is a Harsh Mistress, because we got to put Stalingrad in Keen. I just can't bring myself to put a notorious, despotic kind of real-life character in what I put as neat or keen. Like, I just can't do it. Oh, here's the magma guy from the Tick versus the Mole Men. He gets to go down here. I mean, I guess he's fine. I don't like that episode. It's hard not to rank some of this stuff just by the episode, but he's kind of nothing. Like, yeah, so I'm still going to put him there. Here's another Mole Man. Do you have to put all the Mole Men in here? Seriously? Okay. Wait, is this also Octo Paganini? Yes, this is also Octo Paganini, which means I'm going to assume that other screenshot was supposed to be for... I'm trying to remember his name. Eastern Bloc Robot Cowboy. So, yeah. They both go here because I said that earlier. Dr. Mungmun. Yeah, he'll go in cool, I guess. What's fun about that is Tung Tung, not him. And it looks like Tung Tung did not make the list here. You know what did? Alcide's trees. Just his trees. Driving a car. Yeah, we got Alcide and the B-Twins and his trees. And the trees get to go in cool just because they sing operatically. And that's always funny. Here's my wife's favorite villain, Pineapple Polkapo, from the episode of the same name, Tick versus Pineapple Polkapo. We got pineapples and we got sharks. For me, he goes in... Yeah, he'll go in Keen, I think. And I don't have enough things in that category. I'm looking at this thinking there's a couple other things maybe should have popped up there, but like maybe Dinosaur Neil goes in Keen. Yeah, I'll go a little higher. It's nice that I can keep changing this as I go. That's the problem with a numbered list that you come up with ahead of time. Hey, look, it's the man-eating cow. The man-eating cow is extremely important to the Tick, if you're not familiar. She, and yes, is a female bovine. She has her own comic series that ran alongside part of Ben Edlund's series, and there's some important stuff that the Tick does in that. It's not like he's all over that series, along with Paul the Samurai, I think, and she has not appeared anywhere else, despite the fact that she started in comics and could have been used other places. Like, I'm going to put her in Keen. I love the man-eating cow. She doesn't get a lot to do in the series, but she doesn't get a lot to do with anyway. That's kind of the joke of it. But she apparently does actually eat men. But anyway, she was not in the Patrick Warburton show, but at the end of the pilot, you get a kind of recreation off screen of her where they're talking about Apocalypse Cow, and that's great for the joke of the end of that episode. But it seems kind of weird that we have that instead of her when she could have been used and is a big Tick character. Really, we're still doing these guys? Okay, Doorman. Somebody mentioned Doorman earlier. I should have got to him quicker than that. I'll put him all the way in Keen. Men call me Jim. He also has a wonderfully mundane, nearly pointless superpower. He can tell if you're a sidekick or not. He can tell if you're... Well, I don't know if his power is he just can sniff out sidekicks over superheroes, or he knows if you're supposed to be in whatever nightclub that he's working for. I don't actually know how his powers work. We have Venus from Armless But Not Harmless, which is an episode I love, but a villain that does not do a great deal for me. She facilitates that whole story, and it's wonderful. I'll put the Tick robot that she makes in cool because it's such a funny joke that people actually buy that is indeed the Tick. And Arthur, but we didn't put Arthur in here, the robot Arthur. So I guess everything is not here, and that's not even really a character, because what she does is she takes, it's so ridiculous. She and her sidekick Milo, because Venus to Milo, get it? She has a tuning fork that can take people's arms off. And then she takes Tick and Arthur's arms and puts them on robots, and they look horrible, but everybody believes it because they have their actual arms. And there's this wonderful scene where the Tick and Arthur are in the diner, and the cops show up, and they say, "Come out with your arms up." And the Tick and Arthur have lost their arms. And the Tick says, "We can't possibly comply with their demands. We better make a run for it." And then you have Zipperneck, who's gross, and another of Chairface's henchmen, and I'm tired of counting them. And then, I don't know what this is. Okay, this is either another girl from Project Shave, although I don't think it is. I think this is... Wow, a couple of these female characters I don't recognize right off. Now I'm starting to get stumped, actually. Well, this is Jungle Janet. This is part of the Civic Minded 5. We'll just throw her in cool, I guess. And then... This is one of the henchmen. I don't know if I can't remember if he's supposed to be Mongolian or what, but one of the henchmen from the past, the villain in that, in the crime fighting commandos, pulls to the present. They're whatever. And then we have, here's Sewer Urchin. And he is definitely a spoon, especially with his own episode, third season, Tick vs. Filth, which is a top 5 episode. Everybody's got to watch the Tick vs. Filth, where we see just how cool Sewer Urchin actually is. Then you get an Idea Man. I guess he just represents the Idea Men. We'll put them in Keen because they're hilarious. Sorry, I got an alert from my OneDrive telling me to look back at my memories. Okay? And they just had a picture of Freddy, my son. All right. And then we have Yank, who is going to go in Neat. And he is a monkey who becomes a super genius. They do kind of a Flowers for Algernon thing with him in Pineapple Polka. And there's such a good sense of continuity in that show where from then on, even though he loses his intellect, he remains the leader of NASA. And there's some fun social commentary with kind of, inept leaders in government roles, in federal roles. Look, it's Plunger Man. Plunger Man actually attaches the Tick and Arthur's arms back onto them, and he's not actually a real hero. He's just a custodian, and he always cracks me up. He's going to go all the way to Neat. Then you get the Ottoman, who has furniture powers, and she'll just go in cool. I've never been the biggest Ottoman fan, but that episode is fun for Deflator Mouse. That's called Evil Sits Down for a Moment. I am stumped. Like, you ever have this where you kind of have a glimpse in your head of where something is from, but you still can't completely place it? Like, I feel like this girl with the headband is maybe from, like, the Aztec episode, but I'm not sure. So yeah, I'm going to put these characters in That's Dirty Pool because it's Dirty Pool that they're so obscure I can't figure them out. Oh, this is the guy from Project Shave. What is it? Jim Rage. That's what his name is. I don't know. Like I said, I didn't think that parody worked as well as they did. I'm going to put him in Dirty Pool, I guess. I don't remember her right off either. And this is another one of those henchmen, and I should remember his name, but I actually don't right off. So I'll put him all the way to the bottom because I'm sick of the fact that we had to deal with like a dozen Chairface henchmen. Okay, I did it. I got through all of them. Check it out. So we have how many in Spoon? We have 2, 3. Is this 10 across? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, 10 across. So I've got 11 in spoon. So basically, what I've got from this is that I can tell you what my top 11 tick, like animated tick characters are from doing this list, and that absolutely tracks with what I would have said just from memory, I think, as I'm looking at this. Yeah. And if I did a top 10, I don't know who I would drop off of this. Probably Human Ton. Like, I'd probably put him down here, and then this would be my 10. And then you'd have... I don't know if I buy this as my top 20, though. When you got Stalingrad and Bipolar Bear. But the 10 that you see at the top are absolutely my top 10 animated tick characters. So that's pretty great. And then when you look at That Sturdy Pool and Gravity is a Harsh Mistress, at least for the ones I know, some of those I would definitely put at the bottom. But yeah, this was a super fun exercise. So did this for over an hour, but in my defense, I had to rank like 50 or 60 characters. Maybe it was more than that. How many characters did we just rank? Well, it's 10 across, right? So 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, at least 85. So yeah, 85, 90 in an hour. I was a little bit more long-winded toward the beginning, and when I saw the writing on the wall, I went, okay, I'm gonna start blowing through this a little bit quicker. I just adored this. This is so much fun. I really want to do this with other stuff. If you guys know of tier lists that anybody have created that you want to see me go through, feel free to leave a link in the comments or send me an email with them. And if there is just a category of something that you want me to do, whether I had to put together my own list or pull one from the tier list maker, let me know. But I want to do more of these. This is fun. I was worried that this would just be sort of an exercise in... I mean, it was definitely random, but I thought it would feel too much like just making content for the sake of content. But it allowed me to talk a bunch about this show. And that's what I really liked about it. It makes me want to do, some Star Trek stuff with this, and maybe some other, shows and comics and things that I just don't talk about all the time. Robert Wildcap can't count. I can't count. How bad was my count? Brightburn, tell me why you don't just read a book. Maybe I will. Maybe right after this I will read a book. Darren Root, the one with the world's most comfortable chair is indeed evil sits down for a moment. That's the episode with the Ottoman, trying to rebuild the Ottoman Empire. It's great. Joey Hollywood Films, $2 super chat. I found your channel because of the tick. Thanks, man. A couple of friends of mine have told me that, people that I met through the channel, including Dan's News. Dan's News, I believe, he told me the first video he ever watched was a conversation that my stepdad and I had on the channel years ago about this show, about the cartoon show. So yeah, I'd be curious, and thank you for the super chat. I'd be curious to know if that's what you saw, or if it was a different tick video, because of course I've done a few. The old scripted rewind show, I did a couple of tick videos, and I did a lengthy video about my collection at one point, and I talked about the Amazon show, and I had a review of that pilot that was pretty well watched. And he says he also has this hat. Oh, Joey Hollywood Films is a big tick fan. Anybody that actually owns this hat would have to be a big tick fan. Well, thanks for watching. Super cool. Yeah, this was a lot of fun. I'm really liking the tier ranking thing. Somebody asked where Chairface was. He is indeed in the top tier, in the A list, the spoon tier. So in my spoon tier, what I call the spoon tier, the A list, I have Tick and Arthur. Here we'll throw Tick right at the front here with American Made and Deflator Mouse. So, you'd expect those four. And then I got Barry. Well, why can't I move him? And I've got Breadmaster, and I got Thrakkerzog, Chairface, The Terror, Omnipotence, and Sewer Urchin. And then I would say I'd probably put Human Bullet like 11 or 12 if I was actually ranking these, which of course I'm not really doing with this. All right, folks, thanks a bunch for being here. Sure, appreciate it. Robert, while the Crypto Freak tier list would be great after you're finished with the Smallville commentaries. Okay, interesting. Do you mean a list of the Crypto Freaks? Because some of those, especially if we had to do it just looking at their pictures, I wouldn't even be able to tell what they were that small. And I certainly wouldn't remember all their names. But like, would we do it by episode, or would we actually do Crypto Freaks? But yes, I would love to do some stuff on Smallville. That'd be great. No, I mean, it's I get real gung ho and excited about things. Suddenly, I want to make this like a regular thing, and I don't have time to like add new regular shows. But when I have a little bit of time, and like I don't have to plan for this at all unless I have to make the list. So like I can literally just sit down and go, we're gonna do this list. Let's rank things and go. Ton of fun. Oh, cool. Joey Hollywood Films, and that was a million years ago. He says the first video of mine he saw was about Chainsaw Vigilante. That means you actually watched some of Tick Month all the way back in probably 2011. And Tick Month is one of the big reasons that Spawn Year exists. If you know about that, that was a big a serialized show talking about with a narrative talking about Spawn that I did, and we're in the 10th year anniversary for that, and I'm working on a movie right now, the superhero rewind movie that is of sorts kind of a sequel to Spawn Year. Robert Wild, definitely do something Batman related for your next list. Yeah, I'll do something less obscure next time. I'll do something more people will care about. A few people have been saying that I should do these for superhero movies, and that's weird to me because it's kind of just giving them a score again, which I'm always doing on the rewind program, whether it's the commentaries or the unscripted show now. So that's kind of. That feels a little bit weird in my brain, but I don't know, like maybe in a particular category, it was sort of amazing. Like I kicked around since I'm doing X2 next week. I was kicking around doing the X-Men movies, and then I was like, everybody kind of knows my thoughts on those. I'm not really sure what the point would be of like in that particular case. With things that I talk about all the time, it seems to make more sense to do a numbered list. But I don't know, maybe I'll kick it around. Robert Wild, the tier list for just movies doesn't sound as interesting. Yeah, because I talk about that stuff all the time. Now, people have been wanting a like definitive top 20 from me for a while, and that would be an order, and I'm talking about doing that with DJ, and I don't even know if that'll be on this channel or his channel, because we were kicking around doing it over there. Robert, Batmobiles, costumes, characters, stuff like that. Yeah, I think so too. I think that would be a lot of fun. Okay, I'm going to get going. Thanks a lot for being here, folks. Appreciate you, and I will see you again soon with more stuff. Like I said, playing this week completely by ear, but we will almost certainly have a Captain Logan show on Thursday unless something comes up that day where I have to be at the hospital that late into the evening. Thanks a lot, folks. I will see you again real soon. I was Captain Logan. You guys great? See you later. Bye, folks.